So let's go back to our home.py, so inside of our app directory and our home.py, and import this request handler we just made. So let's say from framework.requestHandler import yum search request handler. Now let's implement our request handler. So this will be class home, and we're going to build on top of the yum search request handler and say def get, because we are going to be processing or handling get requests. And let's just print out a template. So let's say self.render. Okay, and this render is the function we have just implemented. So the template is going to be home, because we are going to create a home directory inside of the templates, and then we're going to print and use the home.html file. Okay, so let's go ahead and create these now. So I'm going to right click on the templates, new directory, call it home, because it's what we called it in here, and then inside of this directory create new HTML file and call it home.html. So here we're actually going to import the CSS and the JavaScript from our Bootstrap framework to see if everything is working nicely and correctly. So I'm going to import the CSS, and the way you do this is inside the head tags, you open up a HTML called link. Now link basically links all sorts of files, and we are going to be linking our style sheets. So we have to say rel is equal to style sheet, and the href, so the source, is going to be in our static directory, CSS, and then bootstrap min CSS. Now I'm going to duplicate this line and do the exact same thing for our font awesome. Okay, great. So we have our style sheets implemented. Now the last thing we want to do is we want to also implement our scripts. Now scripts are implemented in the body tag, so we have to open up a script tag and simply type in the src, which stands for source, and again navigate into our JavaScript folder inside of our static folder, and then select Bootstrap.js. Okay, now Bootstrap.js will not work because we have not imported another JavaScript library that Bootstrap has a dependency on, and that library is called jQuery. Now instead of importing jQuery into our project, so into our JavaScript folder, we can actually call it directly off of Google servers. So if we go to developers.google.com/speed/libraries/devguide, we see here they have a bunch of libraries hosted by them, and we can simply just copy this HTML and implement it ourselves. So I will leave this URL in the lecture notes so that you don't have to type this out. Okay. In the meantime, we're just going to copy this, go back to our project, and paste it above the Bootstrap min.js. Okay, it's very important you paste it above because Bootstrap.js depends on this library. So first we have to load up this library, and then we can load up our Bootstrap.js. Okay, great. So now we can actually go ahead and see if this is working. And there's one thing I forgot to do. I forgot to map our handler. So we need to map our handler to the request handler that we just created. So this will be app, because it's the app directory, home, because it's the home.py file, and then we called our request handler home with a capital H. Okay, so if we can control or command click, we see we're going there. So now we can go ahead and run our application. So I'm going to exit out of our previous Hello App Engine application, cd into our yum-search2 default folder, and use gcloud preview app run period to run our application. Okay, looks good. See if it's running. I'm going to open up a new tab, and we see we're being printed our blank screen, but if we hit our page source, we see in fact we have our HTML. So let's go ahead and print out again a hello world message just to see that this is all working and that our template is working. Our Bootstrap is working. So I'm going to go to our HTML and insert a H1 and say hello world. Go back to our application, refresh, and we see our application is working. This is great. Now you'll see that the style of this hello world is very different to the H1 we created in our previous project. And this is because our application is already loading up Bootstrap, and it's applying the style defined in Bootstrap framework to our H1. Okay. So we see we have already a pretty nice looking style applied without actually having to define the style, because it's already defined by the framework. And this will be a very ongoing thing. We will see that we will be able to build up our project really easily, because we will be able to structure our HTML really quickly thanks to all of the classes that are already written in Bootstrap.